Hey everybody, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2020 and the 20s in general. This is the first video that I'm making for 2020, so it's a good one, I think. It's actually, I'm talking about two of my recent makes. I finished this one in 2020 and I finished this one just at the end, towards the end of December in 2019. This is a pattern test garment for Sinclair Patterns. This is the Tango Tunic, and it was really fun to be a pattern tester. It was really fun to sew this up, and I really like how it came out. It was super easy to make. This was my first time with Sinclair Patterns, and I have to tell you, I am super impressed because, I like indie patterns just in general because I feel that their instructions are so much more clear and they have better graphics. It's just, they're easier to follow. So I love them. Yes, they are a bit more expensive. They're usually in PDF, and those two reasons can deter people from them, but I do think it is really worth it. And I'm just really impressed, and you will hear me as we review the pattern on my computer, just how impressive I am with Sinclair, and I'm going to be buying some more patterns. So anyway, this one was really fun. This is made out of a ponte, and we'll go into it in more detail later. And then the one that I am wearing is my third make from Tilly and the Buttons, and I love Tilly for the same reason. Her instructions are very clear. The picture is really good, and actually the fit, I have to say, is way better than the big four. So yes, so this is my third Tilly and the Buttons make. This is the Coco dress. Now the Coco pattern, you can either do a dress or a top. So obviously this is the dress version with the funnel neck option and the long sleeves. It is so comfortable because it is out of a double brushed poly. And if you have sewn with it, if you wear it, you know how comfortable it is. And I could just live in this. I need to make like 10, 20, 30 of these because they're just so comfortable and they're warm. And you just throw it on. I have leggings and knee-high boots with it. I also wear leggings with this. I mean, super comfortable, but yet you don't look like a ragamuffin, right? You actually look put together and cute. So that's why I really love these two. So yeah, let's first look at this in a little bit more detail. And then I'll take you over to my computer where we will look at the patterns on their websites, their respective websites, in more detail. And yeah, that's what we'll do. So here we are up close at looking at the Tango Tunic, and you can see here, hopefully you can see the ponte has a little bit of like sheen. It's not really translating on camera very well, but I promise you there's a tad bit of sheen and these kind of silvery gray bits. And then I have top stitched using a kind of like a black silver metallic thread. Here's the collar. So the way I color blocked it is the main panel here is the animal print ponte. Then this sleeve over here is animal print. I use the reverse of the ponte to make a solid black sleeve. So yeah, these are not actually two different fabrics. It's just the other side of the animal print, and it works really well because it matches exactly. And the collar, obviously I did in a solid, and then you have this side panel here. It's a solid. I did a solid sleeve over here, and then I used the animal print side for the cuff. The trim is a stretchy pleather, and it goes all the way around. Check it out. Whoopsie. So the back is obviously fully animal print, and then you have the stretchy pleather here, and you can see the top stitch. Now let me turn it back around and show you. One thing that it does is it does kind of pucker here. I think it could be because of the heavier trim that I used. It could be because maybe I stretched it out a bit when I was sewing, and that could have resulted in this mess. It's not really a mess. I don't mind it. I still think it looks fine, but that's just something I noticed. And, as people who, we make our own clothes, we always notice just the tad bits that are off ever so slightly. See, messing with it. But yes, this is the Tango Tunic up close. I like how it turned out overall. I love the black and the mix, how I ended up mixing them. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, so we are here at the Tilly and the Buttons website, and we're at the Coco top. And first want to show you that since Tilly and the Buttons is based in the UK, it's going to first be set to pound sterling, but you can just click up here, drop down to US dollars or wherever you are, and select that. The digital dress pattern is going for $15.04. That's the current exchange rate. And that's for the digital. Now that does come in a printed version, and it will be shipped from the UK, so it'll take a little bit of time, not too much. And it'll be more because I have to ship it out, and it is a finished product. But the quality is very nice. The little booklet it comes with is super nice to have, and then it's printed on some high quality paper. And for me, when I ordered the Coco top, I accidentally clicked the paper one, so that's how my version came. But I have used the PDF versions of Tilly before, and they're great, and you can always just print out new ones whenever you want to alter them or whatever. So the Coco pattern is a top, and it's also a dress. So here it's pictured in the dress version without the funnel neck. The sleeves are 3/4. You can have pockets or not. There she is. So the pattern is designed so that it's not too loose and it's not too tight. Here is the top version with the funnel neck, and the tops will have little vents on the sides. And the funnel neck version calls for, obviously, this funnel neck, but also some cuffs on the 3/4 length sleeves. Or you can do this version with the long sleeves and the boat neck, kind of. So let's look at the line art here. So these are the versions. So what I did, as you can probably see, I used the funnel neck and the long sleeves. And one alteration I did do on my sleeves is I made them just a little bit tighter because that's how I like my knit sleeves to fit. So I took some off of the pattern for the sleeves just to make sure that it fit a little bit more snugly on my arm. And I had to lengthen it about 1 inch because my arms are longer. But that was it for that. And then also, I graded my pattern piece. So let's talk about the pattern sizes first. So Tilly's patterns, they are numbered. They go from 1 to 8. No, I'm sorry, 1 to 10. So it looks like sizes 9 and 10 are available. Make it simple. I see at the moment. So she's going to be adding some larger sizes, but in general, her patterns go from size 1 to 8. Now, those do translate into UK, US, and European sizes. I cut out a size 4, and everything was a size 4. My sleeves, my shoulders, armhole, everything. But I graded from the waist out to a size 6. So went up 2 sizes to accommodate my hips. And this is something that I do pretty much across the board for any pattern company, whether it be indie or big 4. I tend to have to go up 2 sizes because I've got about a 12-inch difference between my hips and my waist. So I often have to grade out. So that's what I did, and I just made a nice smooth curve. You don't want it to be jolty, so you want to just make it nice and smooth. So I did do that. And those were pretty much the only changes I made or alterations I made to the pattern. The one thing I do want to point out while we're looking at this pattern, let's look at the back here quickly. one thing, I love that she points out what kind of needle you need. I think that's incredibly important because if you use a wrong needle, you're not going to be very successful with your project. So let's back to what I wanted to tell you. So one thing I did have a little bit of trouble with this pattern was this funnel neck. And going into it, I wasn't even sure I wanted to make the funnel neck because I didn't think it was going to behave nice and stiff like it looks here. And I use a double brushed poly knit, as I said. And I was worried. And the pattern doesn't actually call for interfacing. And against my better judgment, I didn't add it, and I should have. And so when I sewed on the collar, and I went to fold it over as you're supposed to, and it just wouldn't stay up. It was just flopping. It had no body. I lifted it, and I actually applied interfacing to the underside here, straight up iron interfacing, and then I folded it over, and it still really just wasn't, it wasn't sitting right. Like it wasn't covering the seam line properly, and I didn't want that to show. So what I did is I just stitched right along here, just so close to that edge of the neckline, and I stitched it down so it would stay. And that worked incredibly well, and I didn't mind the stitching there. You can't really see it because I have a printed pattern. Now, if you're using solids and you do this, you want to be very careful that your stitching is quite accurate, otherwise it'll look kind of silly. Or maybe the fabric that you choose is going to actually work better for you. Again, my while I have like more of a medium weight poly, it maybe had a little bit too much drape, so that's probably why. And again, if I put the interfacing in, it would have helped tremendously from the get-go, but still I probably would have the problem with this fold over shifting and then you seeing the underside, and that's not what you want. So maybe I could have like kind of slip stitched tack it in certain places to help it stay, but you know, in the end, what I did, stitching all the way around to hold it down, helped just fine. So overall, I love this pattern, and I'm definitely going to go back and make this version without the funnel. It is so incredibly comfortable, and it's just going to be incredibly versatile, and it's easy. The Tilly patterns are easy, so I highly recommend them, and I will over and over again, especially if you're learning to sew. So I think that's all I wanted to say about this. Yeah. But, I guess I should talk about the fabric suggestions. Real quick, she does suggest medium weight knit fabrics with a little stretch. So she said, look for Ponte de Roma, double knit, or interlock. The boat neck top also works well in a low stretch jersey. So, those are the ones, and I think that mine would have worked better for the plain dress and not necessarily the funnel neck, but I think you can remedy the funnel neck, as I said, by using interfacing. Oh, I also wanted to point out that there is a sew along in the form of a blog here, and if you click that and you scroll down, you'll see that there's different sections, like where to buy knit fabric, cutting knit fabric, adjusting the sizes, stabilizing shoulder seams. Really clear instructions from Tilly. Now, you're going to get clear instructions anyway in the book and in the pattern instructions. So, but here it just takes it one step further, and it's super helpful. So do check that out. So here we are at the Sinclair Patterns website, and we're looking at the Tango Split Hem Knit Tunic for women, and this is in a PDF pattern. It's for advanced beginner or beginners. I can tell you that it was pretty easy, and her instructions are great. This is the first time I've ever used the Sinclair pattern, and to be able to test it out was really fun. So, looking here at the line art, you can see that there are two different versions. You can do a cowl neck or a sort of, what is she calling it? Like a collar crossover. And this is a version I did. And you can also add buttons. Now these buttons are faux buttons. You don't actually close anything. This is all sewn together with a nice hidden seam, which is incredibly easy to do and easy to follow in the pattern instructions. And it is super comfy. I love it. Love it, love it. Anyway, types of fabric. She says knits. Yes, and I would get something more medium bodied. If it's too drapey, you're not going to have the structure that you're going for here. It's a little bit structured. It'll just kind of be lumpy. So here's some versions. It's really cute and really great, and I loved it. All right, so PDF pattern assembly. It's meant to be trimless, and I have to tell you that out of all the PDF patterns I've used, this is the most friendly, easy to put together, lines up really well. Sometimes I have a little problem lining things up with the PDF patterns, but this is great. And she also makes it so you don't have to trim. You can just lay the pages over each other, match up the little symbols, and you're good to go. Use a glue stick, you'll be fine. Let's see. I like also that she offers, her name's Oksana Sinclair. I keep calling her she, so that's why. She offers a petite and tall size, and tall was great for me. It gave me the nice length in the tunic as well as in the arms. And she goes from sizes, if you're looking at the US, from 0 to 22. And there's a rumor that she's going to be expanding and adding more sizes, larger sizes, so that'll be great. So yeah, another thing is I like that she breaks down the yardages based on like the bodice, the sleeve, how much you need for the collar, the cowl. This is great when you're color blocking, so you know how much you need of each fabric and you're not trying to guess and give yourself a headache. I want to show you her instructions. So when I tested the pattern, I was testing version 1, and the instructions weren't totally complete, but I got them. They're pretty easy, and I'm just showing you what it looks like. So these are actually the final instructions we're looking at, but when I got them, as I said, they were not complete. And I like how she gives examples, real life examples. These are some of the pattern testers. She goes into real good information about selecting your fabric and how much stretch it needs. She says don't use too light of a fabric. And yes, it is great. Like here, she says it's great to wear with leggings and jeggings. It's actually really perfect for that, and that's what I did. Talks about how much fabric you're going to need, and even says what kind of thread you need. Polyester, cotton threads, interfacing. Needles, again, as I mentioned with the Tilly pattern, I like when they talk about what needles you need and the size that you need. That's just incredibly helpful, and I think information that the big 4 companies need to start incorporating. This I really appreciate, as she talks about sizing here way more in depth than I've ever seen. And how do you choose your size? And then how do you grade your size? And how do you take your measurements? This is just super, super helpful. And incredibly, it's worth the money when you're paying more for PDF patterns, for indie patterns, than you are big 4, especially when you have a sale. I'm talking about mainly the sales. You go and get a pattern for $1.99. Sure, it's great. But you know what? The information you get in a PDF pattern is so worth it, especially when you're learning, because these are labors of love, and they're taking the time to explain things to you so you have the best fit and the best experience for sewing. So I'm just here sharing with you the instructions so that you can see just what great information she includes, like telling you how to adjust, and these are like lines that you would kind of draw in examples, so when you need to grade from maybe the waist to the hip, because this is stuff that you're not going to get in other pattern companies sometimes, especially the commercial ones. So once you print out all of the pattern pieces and match them together, this is what it's going to look like. I think it's a great reference for you, so you know you're doing it right. Tells you how to assemble the pattern, definitions, techniques for sewing knits, top stitch. Like, this is just, I'm impressed. And I'm not trying to sell you on Sinclair. It's just, it was my first experience, and I'm just so, I've been saying incredibly a lot today. Anyway, I'm really, really impressed by it, and I ordered 2 more patterns that I'm going to be sewing up, and I can't wait to see how those turn out. And just, these are just such great detailed instructions. And you know, Tilly and the Buttons, her instructions are detailed like this as well, but I have to tell you, Sinclair, she takes it a notch further with all this information on fitting and adjusting patterns. So I have to say thank you so much for that, because I know a lot of us struggle with it. So to have that information, thank you. Happy to pay your $10 pattern price. Anyway, that is the pattern, and I hope that you'll go check out Sinclair or try the Tango Tunic, because it's so comfortable, and I'm definitely going to make some more. Anyway, there is one thing that I guess I could show you here rather than my garment, but this collar piece was not fitting into my neckline. Like, the collar was just way too small. So when I measured the pattern pieces, I found a 2-inch difference. And so I actually had to alter the pattern piece to accommodate it and make sure that it fit together. Now, this was something that a couple other pattern testers noted, and Oksana, I believe she did note that. I don't know if she made any changes, but it didn't seem like any other people had any issues. But anyway, now that the pattern is released, all of the kinks should be ironed out. But that was the only issue I had. It was correctly remedied by me, and I'm just super happy with how mine turned out. Okay, so I hope that the review on the website is helpful. I think it's just easier to navigate and more clear to go through and look at patterns on websites, the line art and all the other information that they provide. Anyway, if you have used Sinclair patterns before, let me know which one's your favorite. Same with Tilly, because I'm just really getting on board with these indies. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put the PDF patterns together. I'm gonna get out my glue stick. It's fine, because I just think the results, for me, my favorite garments are coming from the indie patterns these days, I have to tell you. But that may change, because I have my first sewing fitting lesson, private lesson, coming up in a week, and that may change my perspective and make it easier for me to work with the Big Four in terms of fit, because that is the biggest challenge I have with the Big Four commercials, is that the fit just isn't as good as the indie patterns for me. Anyway, I want to hear your thoughts, and I hope you like this video. Again, Happy New Year.